It was a really weird one. I mean, first of all, I was really surprised how relaxed she looked. And she just looks so different to me. And she's been in prison like a month. And she just looked like a different person. But then I was so like thrown. Like, why would she have said all of the things that she said after she'd already been found guilty? If she could have had that kind of composure and opened herself up to questions, because as she started going on her rant, the judge was like, if you're going to continue in this vein, then the prosecution is going to get to ask you questions, and that might affect the sentencing outcome, but we knew it wouldn't. And she was like, fine. And I just didn't understand. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but it's just the weirdest case, because on the one hand, you're like, as diabolical, or diabolical is not a good word, as much of a loser and a user that Scott seemed to be, only wanting to play golf all day, not have a real job, not take orders from anyone, you know. He just didn't seem like a really good human being. I wasn't impressed with him at all. But was I able to make the leap that he was such a horrible person that he did that? No. But then, was I able to make the same leap with Melody that she did it? No. It was almost like neither one of them seemed guilty, and both of them seemed guilty. And it was a really strange case. And at the end of it all, I just don't think that they 100% proved that Melody did it, or 100% proved that Scott didn't do it. And it just was so crazy. Like, how is that justice? I mean, if you have detectives and investigators and prosecutors, you know, going through every single piece of evidence there was, and the crime itself was just so weird. I don't know. I walked away from that whole thing with more questions than answers, and I just don't understand how they were able to convict her with what they had and not Scott. But if they had convicted Scott and not her, I probably would have been like, well, I'm not convinced he did it either. So it was just so weird. But at the end of the day, you know, it just, the whole thing was weird. And when I was listening to Melody, and she was, you know, I didn't feel that she was giving off narcissistic or gaslighting vibes. I just felt that she had just, you know, I mean, at some point in her, you know, rant, I just thought she was kind of sincere. I don't know. I'm usually a really good judge of character, but those Farris people, I could not figure them out. I couldn't cling to any one piece of anything about them that I could say 100%. I think they got it right. It was just weird. And honestly, you know, there's that term, I can't remember what the term is, but it's something departure. And the way that those lawyers fought for Melody, how they didn't make a better case for the judge to depart from the usual guidelines that he has to follow. Because that Martha Jean throwing her on the case in the tail end of the trial, and then her saying her sources were like that guy on YouTube, like, that isn't very credible to me. And then they could have easily complained that, you know, the jury was hung, and the judge just was like, well, y'all need to go back in there because I'm busy. I'll come for you in 8 hours. Like, what is that about? Generally, the jury room is sacrosanct, and the judge makes time for the jurors and to make sure every question and need that they have during deliberations is seen to. But the way he acted, he was just like, I'm busy, y'all. Well, he was such an ass. It's not even funny. But anyhow, so I felt that the fact that he kind of forced them to come to a verdict and kept pressuring them, and It was just weird. I just thought that those lawyers, they were really good, but not at the end. Like all the way through, they were good, but they kind of dropped the ball, if you ask me, because they could easily and should have easily gotten a motion for acquittal approved, or at the very least gotten a departure from the usual sentence guidelines. And they just, like I said, at the end, and it was weird the way that through the whole trial, they didn't talk to her. She kind of sat off to the side. What is up with that? That's the weirdest interaction between a defense attorney and a client I ever saw. So I don't know. That trial just left me kind of, and I just don't understand how they were able to find her guilty. I mean, she didn't elicit any feelings in me like Jennifer Crumley. I always bring her up because I always feel like she got the rawest deal. If that rawest, I don't know, it sounds weird. She got a really raw deal. But Melody, I don't know. She just seemed, I guess maybe it was her age, and I felt like, well, she had 68 good years, and, she put herself in a position that made herself look guilty, and she didn't speak up to say she was innocent, and she just let everyone think what they wanted to. So, what is that? Silence is compliance or something. I don't know. But, I don't know. It's just a really weird. I'd be curious if y'all agree, because I signed out of the chats when it was happening because everybody was just so hateful. And I don't know. When I watch everybody just ganging up on someone and not really thinking about what they're seeing, but they're just commenting, it just makes me crazy. So I had to X out of the chat. So I'm curious what y'all think, if you think that, justice was served, or if you think there is lingering doubt. I'd be curious. Thanks, y'all. Bye.